right, man. Welcome back to the Biblical Blueprint. It's your boy Raylo. And yeah, man, we back with another one. Chapter by chapter, verse by verse. Let's get into this one, man. Let's go. All right, man. It's your boy Raylo. We back. Chapter by chapter, verse by verse, man. I'm trying to prove to you guys that the Bible is the best book for life and business. And we going through it right now. We're in chapter 16 of Genesis. You know what I'm saying? We did 16 chapters. That's kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? I ain't did 16 videos, but 16 chapters we moving through. You know what I'm saying? And this is where it get good, man. You know, we talking about Father Abram. He ain't Abraham yet. He Abram. You know what I'm saying? And today we're going to talk about his troubles with having kids. You know what I'm saying? It was something that was bothering him, and we see what happens when you become a little bit impatient when things is bothering you. So let's go ahead and get into chapter 16, all right? Let's go.
Genesis 16:1-16. ERV Sarai was Abram's wife, but she did not have any children. She had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. Sarai told Abram, "The Lord has not allowed me to have children, so sleep with my slave. Maybe she can have a son, and I will accept him as my own." Abram did what Sarai said. So after living 10 years in the land of Canaan, Sarai gave her Egyptian slave to Abram as a second wife. Abram slept with Hagar, and she became pregnant. When Hagar realized this, she became very proud and began to feel that she was better than Sarai, her owner. Then Sarai said to Abram, "My slave girl now hates me, and I blame you for this. I gave her to you, and she became pregnant. Then she began to feel that she is better than I am. I want the Lord to judge which of us is right." But Abram said to Sarai, "She is your slave. You can do anything you want to her." So Sarai was cruel to Hagar, and Hagar ran away. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring of water in the desert. The spring was by the road to Shur. The angel said, "Hagar, Sarai's slave girl, why are you here? Where are you going?" Hagar said, "I am running away from Sarai." The angel of the Lord said to her, "Sarai is your owner. Go home to her and obey her." The angel of the Lord also said, "From you will come many people, too many people to count." Then the angel of the Lord said, "Hagar, you are now pregnant, and you will have a son. You will name him Ishmael, because the Lord has heard that you were treated badly. Ishmael will be wild and free like a wild donkey. He will be against everyone, and everyone will be against him. He will move from place to place and camp near his brothers." The Lord talked to Hagar. She began to use a new name for God. She said to him, "You are God who sees me." She said this because she thought, "I see that even in this place God sees me and cares for me." So the well there was called Bir Lahai Roi. It is between Kadesh and Bered. Hagar gave birth to Abram's son, and Abram named the son Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Ishmael was born from Hagar. Genesis 16:1-16 ERV.
All right, so that was chapter 16. We see a lot, you know what I'm saying? We see that Abram's wife, Sarai, comes in and gives Abram a solution. You can have my slave girl. She'll give you a son, and when she gives you a son, I'll treat it like it is my son, because this is my slave. You know what I'm saying? They got slaves during this time, right? And she has an Egyptian slave. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? The Egyptians just tried to, the Egyptian Pharaoh just tried to take her as a wife. Now they got Egyptian slaves. It's crazy. But, you know, she got an Egyptian slave, and now, you know, she is giving up the slave to Abram to bear children, because she's barren. She can't have kids right now. God has already promised Abram that he's going to have kids. He's already promised that to Abram. But he's starting to get impatient because he's up there in age, You know what I'm saying? He like in his 90s, and he's like, man, I ain't never gonna have no kids. And they like, hey, I got the slave girl, and he goes and does what he does, and the slave name is Hagar. She started feeling herself. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what she was saying to Sarai, and guess what? Sarai wasn't having it. She started treating them badly. Abram kind of gave her like the okay, like this is your slave. You do whatever you want to do with her. She started treating her badly because she acted crazy. She started treating her so badly, Hagar got up and dipped out. I don't want to be treated like this no more. You know what I'm saying? Slavery is a choice during this time, I guess. So she tried to run away, and she gets stopped by the angel of the Lord. And I think this is so interesting because the angel of the Lord tells her, hey, God sees what you're going through. And because of this, your child is going to be free. He's going to live free. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like almost like this is a divine child. And, it kind of lets you know that everything is, you know what I'm saying, according to divine timing, or just has like a divine type of orchestration to everything. Because we just see that what happens when, and I'm not going to say Abram was disobedient, but he was impatient. Instead of waiting, and I understand that a lot of times, like, when you know that there's a blessing that's supposed to come into your life, you can't get impatient with it. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like it will never materialize. And that's probably what Abram was going through. And Sarai was just like, hey, she came up with a quick solution, which is not a bad solution, because that's just what they did. You know what I'm saying? You'll have a wife, and then they'll have a whole bunch of slaves, or you know what I'm saying? You start seeing multiple wives. You know what I'm saying? We actually haven't seen multiple wives during this time in the Bible, which is very interesting, right? But during this time, it's just one woman with Abram. You know what I'm saying? He wanted kids. Now, one of the key themes I see with this is that just impatience creates problems that you gotta live with. You know what I'm saying? If God gave you a promise, you need to live with the promise and don't rush it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that it's hard, because look, Abram even had this issue. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, it's not that I'm not trusting in God. It's just like, when does this happen? And then, you look at it, and it's just like, emotional decisions will create generational curses. I deal with this a lot, you know what I'm saying, just in my family. A lot of times things will come up as solutions and everything like that, and it sounds like good and practical, but a lot of times, like, you just got to sit back and trust in God. Man, I go through this a lot with just like family, and just like certain things that are materializing. One of the things I can say is just like, I'm not married right now, right? And me, honestly, I don't feel like it's time. Of course, I get pressure, I get people saying it, and I know that eventually I'll get married, right? Whether it's the woman I'm with now or maybe somebody else. But I feel like it will happen. And one of the things is like, even though I'm getting older, I don't really rush that process. Especially like where we're living in a world where people constantly get divorced. I know one of the big things that's going on right now in our world is that people are scared. Men are scared to be divorced because, of course, you can take half. And I'm not going to just say men. Women should be scared of that too. You with this person, and all of a sudden you act out of emotion, and this is what we're talking about. Like, emotional decisions will create generational curses. Say you cheat, and it's like, you the breadwinner, you cheat, and now this person taking half of your money just because you made an emotional decision at that point in time. Partnerships and just relationships and marriages are hard. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times you go through a lot of things where you don't feel, um, you're never gonna feel like emotionally taken care of. And a lot of times, like, I doubt when people like become single, because I've been single for a long time. I understand being single. When people be like, "Oh, I'm free," yeah, you free, but a lot of times you wish that you didn't have to do the most to get what you need. Where a lot of times people in a relationship, it's just somebody right there that that you got. A lot of relationships that I experience are always like relationships where it lasted long. It was relationships that they built this from the ground up. Even I've been around certain relationships where it was like it got kind of rocky and things just smoothed out. And that's what I want. I want something that's long term, or something where I'm not doubting anything, or I know that I'm not going to have issues in the future, or like at least I'm getting, of course you can't get everything, but that's also what believing with God, like he's going to land you with the right person, you know? I remember I had a relationship issue and I definitely prayed about it. And God showed me the way and showed me how to build a strong relationship. If you're having a relationship issue or you're looking to start a relationship and trying to remove certain blocks, go to raylo.tv and check out the Miracle Blueprint. This is the program where I'm telling you, all you got to do is just be obedient for 40 days. And in 40 days, you will create a miracle in your life. It's the blueprint to create miracles. Go to raylo.tv. And if you've never seen God move in your life, try this program. It is free. let me just state that it is free. I want you to try it and see how God is going to move in your life. Go to raylo.tv and check out the Miracle Blueprint. So we just handled the life aspect of everything. Let's get into the business aspect of it, because this is a very business oriented type scenario, right? Of course, we're just talking about somebody who had kids, but we're talking about partnerships, right? And one of the main things I see is just like this was like a forced collaboration. So he had certain pressures. Somebody came up with a solution, and you never know what all types of stuff that Abram was hearing during this time, right? We just getting a couple of texts. You don't know everything that he was going through, and of course, he forced him to go and have a kid with someone who wasn't Sarai. So, and it. I think about forced collaborations all the time. I actually had a particular one kind of come up today at the dinner table. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about it, because let me just get to this point. It's just that there's a difference between speed and divine timing. You know what I'm saying? Good intentions can open up spiritual warfare that are not spirit led. You feel me? Like you will open up gateways where you were just not ready to deal with what came with that. I've had forced collaborations. During the pandemic, I went through a couple forced collaborations with everything shut down and me not having business all the way up the way I wanted to have it up. I forced myself into a couple collaborations where I should have went with certain people instead of going with the people I went through, but I have no regrets. But I went through those to be able to tell you what is the difference between a forced collaboration than the divine one. So like this is divine timing that I'm on right now. This isn't something that's forced. This isn't something that I'm doing out of necessity. This isn't something that I'm doing out of just need to make money. I'm actually kind of good at this point in time. I'm really doing this because I want to spread this message. I want you to do a fast and create a miracle in your life. And I'm also doing the business aspect because I'm trying to build more believers in business. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I would like gain from it, but at this point in time, I'm not getting millions of views. You know what I'm saying? It's something I'm building because eventually I'll help people with their lives. So this isn't something that's forced. A time where it was forced was, man, like back when I was cooking. You know what I'm saying? I was put in a lot of forced situations during the pandemic when I started cooking. Essential. I don't know if you remember essential businesses. Remember essential businesses? I was an essential business. I was cooking. You know what I'm saying, and feeding people. So me and I started to link up with other people who were like minded, and we went from the backyard to a restaurant, and from one restaurant to another restaurant. You know what I'm saying? And like during that time, there were forced collaborations. Why I don't regret them is because those experiences helped me become a better cook, and I think it's going to help me in the long run to what I'm going to be doing. But if I would continue with the forced collaborations, ain't no telling where I would be. I think I would probably be in worse positions. I'll probably be broke. I'll probably be in a worse position. I thank God that He got me out of those situations. And I can always say this too, you know, prayer will create the plan. So always pray, and He'll create the plan. He created the plan for me to do the collaborations, and I feel like that's why I don't regret them, because I feel like it was a part of my journey, but I feel like it was also forced because I was just doing them out of the circumstances. Because I probably could have done a lot better if I would have stuck with somebody who was doing something opposite, and it actually made a lot more money if I would just stuck with that person. And actually, I'm collaborating with that person at this moment, and we're making great strides in a situation where it's not forced. It's just something that we should have been doing. I brought up something that happened at the dinner table. I don't feel like this is a forced collaboration, but I have I make clothes, and and eventually you're gonna start seeing my live stream called Divine Designs. You know what I'm saying? That's something I'm pushing next. You know what I'm saying? That's the next stage of evolution. I want to get the biblical blueprint out first, and next we're gonna get into divine design. Invest in your culture is like, it's like my tagline at this point in time. It's turned into more of a brand, and you're going to see more designs come from just investing in your culture, right? Today at the dinner table, I've been doing investing in your culture for a while, and I've gotten pretty good at it. I think probably over the past year, I think I've really mastered my craft as far as creating clothes. I just feel like I'm just an overall creator. You know what I'm saying? I can create clothes, I can create food, you know what I'm saying? I've always been an artistic person. I'm creating content at this point in time. At this point in time, I'm just connecting everything, right? And I've came to a point where I'm like, I want to sell more clothes. And with cooking, I just want to do that when I do pop-ups. You know what I'm saying? When I pop up in your city, have, a bust down to cook and you can buy clothes. That's what I really want to do, right? And today at the dinner table, my uncle looked at my hoodie, and this is probably the first time he's seen this hoodie. And he was just like, man, when are you going to start mass producing these things? And, of course, if you're watching this, you're seeing me work on that. This is me working towards that. You know what I'm saying? You're going to start seeing more of my designs with the Divine Design series. So when he said that, it was just like, oh, I'm going to get into it. And then my cousin, who's known me, and I've actually made several pieces for him, and he was like, yeah, man, he don't be on it. My brother was at the table. It was my uncle's birthday, so all of us at the table. My brothers, my dad, my cousin. We're just having a good time at the dinner table. And my uncle was like, my brother said something about selling. He was like, I'll sell your stuff, but I want 50%. I was like, whoa, 50% is a lot. And he was like, well, I'll take 30% of the people's stuff right now. I'm like, dang, you going to take more from me? I'm your brother. But my uncle was like, well, why wouldn't you want to do that? And I was like, well, explain. And pretty much my uncle was like, why wouldn't you want to work with your brother where he will actually take your clothes and sell them, and you know what I'm saying, you wouldn't have to do it. You could just focus on what you're doing right now. It's more than what you're making at this point in time. And it was a very, very interesting offer. Do I feel like it was something that's forced? Not really. It's just something that came up at the dinner table. it's something that I would love to do because, I always love to work with my brother. I want to prove that people can do family-owned businesses because my brother is somebody I've never had a problem with, honestly. Would that open up a rift? Hey, I'm open to see what happens. But, you know what I'm saying? Is it a part of my divine timing? Only God can tell because only God knows. Because at this point in time, me doing what I'm doing now is going to lead to where I don't really need a sales team or anything like that. I can just really just sell by just creating through my content pretty much. And that's what I've set this up for. And, I just bring that up because it's just an example of, okay, what's the difference between the forced collaboration? What is the mindset of somebody who's going through it? That's the mindset of somebody who's going through something right now. You know what I'm saying? We just learned it with Abram, where it's just like it's something that was bothering them. Somebody came up with a solution. You know what I'm saying? And I've already seen the vision of what God wants for me. So it may be a decision where I know we dropped off my brother at the end of the night, and I didn't really say nothing about it. So it's only time can tell. But it may be the same situation. Maybe I shouldn't take the outside criticism or the outside solution. I should just take what the vision of God had to me. But one of the things that I can also bring into you as far as business, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm just talking about don't force things. That's the main thing. One thing that you can apply, which I just explained to you guys, and you just kind of seen like just a whole stream of just consciousness, is just you got to audit everything that you building. Did God authorize this or did stress birth it? Right now I ain't stressed out, and I think that everything that God's put in my life right now is a part of what he wants me to do. And the whole thing is just like, if you're impatient, because guess what? This just happened, and I just started making a video about it. I'm definitely going to pray about it. I'm going to pray over it because your prayer will create the plan. Always remember, if you have something that you're feeling impatient about, something restless, or something you're feeling restless about, bring it to God. Pray about it, and the plan will come to light. Trust that God sees you, and even if you feel unseen or betrayed or replaced, never forget God sees you. You know what I'm saying? Always remember that. That's one of the things we just saw in this whole scenario. Even when you're feeling mistreated or anything, God sees you. God sees everything. And rest assured that he has a blessing for you. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. I hope to see you again in the next videos. I'm going to keep doing this thing. Tune in to me a lot more, man. Divine Design. I'm going to start pushing out way, way, way more content. I just need the biblical blueprint to be the foundation of this thing. So if you watch this video all the way through, man, thank you so much. And I hope to see you in the next video.